Uh, hey everybody, welcome to the UltimateBS Podcast, a podcast where I interview every competitor and headliner that's been in my show. With me today, I got Chris Sugi, our new defending champion for the August month, and we'll be coming back in October 3rd. Hey Chris, how you doing?
Good. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for making the drive all the way from Long Beach.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, it wasn't bad actually.
On a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So,
On
nice.
a Saturday it was easy.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, forget it, man.
Fuck, man, that would have been taking forever.
Yeah.
Did you have breakfast yet?
Yeah, I had a little Danish.
You gotta keep that figure, right?
I gotta get it down, man. I lost 140 pounds.
Oh,
man.
shit, no
Yeah,
way.
I used to be a big dude, man. I had the big old belly, like you can hold it. Yeah, I weighed 330 pounds, man.
Whoa, dude! Like, how did that like happen overnight or what?
I don't have Beverly Hills money. No, like it was like a 3-year process, man. One day I was in the mirror just looking at myself.
Yeah.
And my wife was in the bed, and I was married at the time. And I was looking at her. I was like, "Look at her. She's beautiful, man.
Right.
Look
Why
at
is
you."
she with me?
And it was like the next day I went on a diet and started eating right, man. And it took about 3 years to get it all off because you fall off the diet.
Right.
You
Of
know,
course.
as soon as you pass something you like, the diet's done. Right?
Yeah.
Give me that, right?
Right.
But
Couple pounds and you're like, I can afford it.
I can eat this candy bar, but no, it was bad. My diet was horrible, man. Doubles and
Oh, that sounds like a life, dude.
so much sugar. Like I would kill like a pint of ice cream, a king size Butterfinger, like all in one sitting, right? Just a ton of sugar, right? And drinking sodas all the time. Like my sugar intake was crazy. I'm surprised.
I'm
not
starting to go
diabetic.
down that road, like with my kids or whatever. Like yeah, it's hot outside. Let's get a popsicle, So just every day.
Yeah, well, a popsicle isn't so bad, you know
2 or 3, then you start.
when you develop a habit, it's like
Yeah.
you're constantly eating them, and then the sugar just takes over. But once I got that out of my life completely, the sugar was hard. Like sugar is very hard to
It
kick.
is.
And once I got that out of my life, the weight just started dropping.
Okay. Well, no, congratulations, man. I'm
thank
good.
you.
I'm glad that you're still on that path, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying.
All right. So the purpose of the show, sorry to interrupt you,
No worries.
is so that I'm trying to get to know you. We're gonna start with your past, where you're at now, and where you want to go. So tell me, how long you've been doing comedy, and what was your first experience
My
like?
comedy story is kind of interesting. I started doing comedy way back, like 19 years ago, in the year 2000. I was supposed to start in June of 2000, and my father passed away that month, so we had to deal with him. So I started in July 2000, and I had written for like 6 months before I ever got on the mic. And my first open mic experience, like the dude Tony Sparks in the Bay Area. I don't know if you know him, but he's the Bay
Sounds
Area
like a familiar
legend.
name, though.
Yeah, he every comedian in the Bay knows him.
Okay.
And he put me on stage first time, and he couldn't believe it was my first time on stage.
Okay, nice.
And so from there, I just started getting more and more mics, and then I went on the road a little bit. I did some Oregon runs and some Reno runs, and then like in 2002, I had a big deal with my daughter. Like her mother was just putting her down the wrong path, so I quit doing comedy completely and just raised my daughter.
Right.
And so I took like a 14-year break.
Oh wow.
I don't know if 14 years is considered a break. I think,
Right,
I think 14 years you quit at that point.
Yeah. This is you starting again.
And then in summer 2016, I moved down to Santa Clarita, actually not far from here. And I had been doing acting. So I started acting in the Bay Area. I got my SAG eligibility up there.
Oh, nice.
And then I moved down here. It was like, okay, I'm SAG eligible. It's time to go play in the big leagues now, right? And then nothing. No auditions, no nothing. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I was working 2-3 times a week in the Bay. And down here, I wasn't even getting auditions.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's the difference? What's the difference between me and the other million actors down here? And then it hit me. It's like, they have training. You're dealing with people that got MFAs. Like you're trying to compete with people with MFAs,
credits, right?
And you have nothing, no training. So I found Theater of Arts in Hollywood, and they had a 2-year program. So I went to that, and like not being on stage was like killing me. Like it is so in my blood. Like it was like that 14 years. It hurt.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to do it, but I had to take care of my daughter. I raised her. She turned 18. She joined the military.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's stationed in Camp Pendleton right now.
Oh, you better thank her for her service, man.
Yeah.
For me.
That's always funny when she hears that. She's like, I don't know how to respond to that, right?
Like, just better take it. Just take it.
It's like saying thank you feels weird, and also not saying thank you feels weird.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I get it. But then, so I went to Theater of Arts for 2 years, and I was just like dying to get back on stage. And when I finally graduated in February, it's like, okay, now it's time.
Right.
No school is taking my time.
No daughter.
No daughter. My wife at that time, like I'm engaged now, but
congrats.
my wife at that time, she had lupus and she was on dialysis, and this is kind of the sad part of my story, but she passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
4 months after moving down here.
Oh.
Like I joined the school January 2017. She passed March 3rd, 2017.
Oh.
And so it was like the roughest 2 years of my life. Well, actually, it was a year and a half, and then I met my current girlfriend, and now, she pulled me out of that depression I was in, because she had passed right in front of me.
Right.
It was one night she had a seizure in her sleep, and it stopped her heart.
Oh.
And so I don't want to depress everybody, so I'm not gonna do that. But, so I fought my way through theater school. Like it was hard.
Yeah.
It was a rough deal, but they had a comedy program built into the theater school. So in your sixth term, your final term, they teach you how to write jokes, which I already knew how to write jokes, and then they get you a spot at the Comedy Store.
Oh, wow.
And so I did Vargas's Friday night show, and then from there I just started getting more and more mics and bookings, and then
it's just been on and on since. So
then.
that's 3 years now.
So I mean February is when I graduated.
Oh, this February.
This February, February 2019.
I thought you meant like in 2016. That's when when you moved down here to.
2016 I moved down here. 2017 I joined Theater of Arts. 3 months after that my wife passed.
And then you did all of that,
and then I continued the program because I knew that quitting was not an option.
Right.
And so after that I graduated February 2019, which I now have an associate's degree in acting.
Yeah.
Which, it's just a piece of paper. It hasn't helped me yet, but so February graduated, did the Comedy Store, and then I've just been working trying to get mics. It's and it feels weird, because I'm starting where everybody else is starting now.
Right.
I'm one in terms of career-wise where I'm starting. I'm one step above the open micers. Right. I just have I don't want to sound arrogant or nothing. I just have more skill than the open micers.
You got more life, dude. I think that separates a lot of the young. You hear about it all the time. That if you start, it's a young man's game, right? But at the same time, the young people don't know what to talk about because they haven't even lived anything.
Yeah.
But you got someone older, for example, Bill Burr's. He's he's great now because he's lived all this life and been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
He's always been great. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Bill Burr is excellent. He was just at Flappers last week.
I know. There was a dropped-in set. Oh my god! My friend Anthony, what do you call it? He was there and he sent Instagram page. I was like, oh, fuck! I wish I was there. Why didn't I get the email?
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram too, and he dropped in on the Tuesday Celebrity Special thing or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, it's not like I could have been there anyway, but it would have been nice to see him. But yeah, it's been a challenge for me getting shows. And when you sent me the message, want me to do your competition, I was like, oh man, I'll actually meet some other comedians that are working.
And now you're on a podcast. You're the defending champ, dude. You're killing it.
Yeah, man, I'm trying. But do I need to speak louder? Or my sound level?
No, it's fine. I edit it in post and adjust the levels.
Yeah, it's been a tough road, but it's getting better. I got a few headliner friends that will throw me work every now and then that knew me from my days in the Bay. Like Kirk McHenry. He's I've known him since the day I started comedy.
Okay, cool.
And he was the one who took me on my first road gig in Oregon.
Wow.
And it was funny, right? Because we had to stay in the same hotel room, and I had 6 MGDs that night at the show, and I'd never really drank MGDs before.
What's an MGD?
The Miller Genuine Draft.
Oh, okay.
The beers, And I never really drank those before. Before it was like all Long Island's, right?
Yeah.
And they gave me gas so bad. Like I felt bad for him. I was in that room just gassing him out, right? It was bad, right? He was like, man, I didn't know I was gonna be staying with Fart Boy, right? Yeah.
Crack a window.
It was like it was the MGDs, bro. It was the MGDs, but. Yeah, he took me on my first road gig, and now he's been like my comedy mentor. Cause like whenever I need some advice on what to do, like, cause I called him after I graduated in February. I called him, was like, man, what do I need to do to get my bookings, to start getting bookings? And he was like, you got to start with your EPK. And,
which is?
And that was my question. I was like, okay, I know that's something I need because I don't even know what it is, right? And it's your EPK is basically your package, your electronic press kit is what it stands for.
Okay.
And it's your bio, your resume, and your headshot, and a video clip that you upload to YouTube. Yeah. And now, thanks to you, I have a good video to upload.
All right, awesome. I'm glad it worked out.
So yeah, thanks to you, I have a good video to upload now. So now my EPK is done, and Kurt gave me some bookers to send it out to, so I could try to get some gigs in Vegas and San Diego and other ones across the nation.
This is awesome. My video is going out.
But yeah, so that's where I'm at now. Yeah.
No, awesome. Like, who were your comedic inspirations? Like when you were younger. Like, I mean, you thought about it, right?
Comedy is something I've always wanted to do since a kid.
Oh,
right?
really?
12 years old, I watched Eddie Murphy Raw.
Nice.
And from that day, I was like, that's what I want to do. Like, I can do that. That's what I want to do. And my parents owned a bowling alley when I was young, and we used to be in the game room playing video games with the kids, telling Eddie Murphy's Raw jokes, right? Just doing his sets right there with them. I was like, have you guys ever seen it? Oh man, it's so funny. The ice cream bed. Yeah, like the piece of doo-doo that comes out, like, what does this choke want, right? Right. And so like Eddie Murphy was my biggest inspiration for starting comedy. Who is my greatest inspiration for how I write my jokes is, of course, Richard Pryor. Once I got into comedy, I started studying him and how he does things, and the way he writes. Like, I timed one of his 3-minute bits, and the amount of laughs he had in 3 minutes was just crazy. It was like 80 laughs in like 3 minutes. Wow! Like, he was just destroying it. Right. And I was talking to another guy, and he said, "Well, you got to remember, that was written by a master. It wasn't written by somebody who just started, somebody who had 10 years in." He said that was written by a master. There are still people who can't write close to anything that he's done. And I was like, okay, but I still want to be at that level. Yeah. Right? So that's the level I aspire to get to. I'm not there yet, of course, but that's the level of joke writing I want to get to.
Nice, dude. Nice. Have you taken any like stand-up comedy classes aside from like the acting classes?
I took one when I started in 2000. I took one. It was a free comedy at San Francisco. I think it was called SF Comedy Workshop. Okay. And the guy was a road comic for like 15 years or whatever, but he broke down the structure of a joke. And for me, that was all I needed. Nice. Okay, I got the structure of a joke. So I wrote for 6 months, tried to get on mics, and the hardest thing about getting on mics was nobody knew you, so they wouldn't put you on their show. Right. And it's like, isn't this an open mic? But then you realize how political the game is. Some of them are, yeah. And so it's like, it's all about who you know, or who knows you, right? Right.
At least for the big ones, like the Comedy Store, those open mics, if they got friends, of course they're gonna like.
Yeah.
People are out there for that raffle for hours.
I went on a Monday night, bro, and there was 200 dudes out there signing up. I was like, you got a 1 in 200 chance of getting on this mic, and it's really not even that, because they pick their favorites, right? They're gonna pick the people they know, and maybe 1 or 2 people they've never seen before, and but they're gonna pick out of the dudes that constantly come. Here I am out of nowhere just trying to sign up.
Did you get on?
No,
of course not.
I didn't do the comedy show, top of the Comedy Store, till I got the Vargas show when I graduated. That was when I did the Comedy Store. Now, I can call Vargas and do his show, but they want you to bring people, right?
Right.
It's a bringer show. And I don't know anybody to, like, the people I know are broke theater students down here in Southern California.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They can't afford the Comedy Store. Like, $15 ticket, 2-item minimum, so they
The
can't afford
drive
it.
is just...
Yeah. And then the drive is actually not that bad for me. From Long Beach to Hollywood is not that bad.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the amount of money that the people have to spend to a bringer show, and it's
Right,
like,
and then the 2-item minimum, and then,
yeah, and if you're with a date, it's $100 a night,
yeah,
and that for a bunch of theater students, they don't have that.
right.
You know, they're struggling as it is. So I can call them and do it, but I don't because I can't bring anybody.
Right. Knowing that my show was a bringer show, how did that like still make you want to do it? Was it because it was free for everybody, or?
Because it was free. Like, I knew I could get people if it was free. Like, my daughter came out with 3 of her friends.
Oh, nice. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
And then my girl came with me.
Cool.
So I had 5 people in the crowd there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that helped me win too.
Yeah.
But it was knowing it's a bringer show, but it's free. It's easier to get people out. To something like a $15 ticket, 2-item minimums. The people will be like, I can't really afford that. So let me know when you're doing something I can afford.
Right.
So, but it was cool, man. I had a great time at the Elevation Bar. It was good.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever done it there.
Really?
Yeah, and before that month, like in July, August, I started out doing it at the Fourth Wall, which is like a little hole-in-the-wall black box theater.
Yeah.
You pay $5 for 5 minutes, and that's the open mic. Every hour on the hour, there's like 10 new comics doing it.
Yeah.
So I know the guy. I started there before he blew up, and so with Joe Menente, I asked him like, "Hey, is it all right if I host?" And he was like, "Yeah, you can host a show like after all the mics are done at 11 o'clock at night, and you have to pay Travis to stay late." And I was like, "All right, cool, I'll do it." And the struggle there was, how do I get people out to an 11 o'clock show on a Thursday night?
Yeah.
And but with my format, that it is a bringer show and it's a free and it's a competition, and the more people you can bring, the more votes you can get. It was just a good formula that I packed that place out. It was 40 people in the room, and then it was a constant. So much so that I needed a bigger venue.
Oh, okay.
But this time around, it was like a smaller crowd, and I think it's because it's the first time I've ever done it here. And I also maybe it was a time slot, 8 o'clock on a Thursday, maybe not. The next time is gonna be at 9 o'clock, so to see what that works. It's just figuring it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So wow, well, quite a journey so far, and
yeah, and it's weird, cause a lot of the people I started doing comedy with are having quite a bit of success now, and I'm starting over. Right. I'm looking at them like, man, if I would have stayed in, I could be where they are. Right. But then, where would my daughter be? Right. And so that's a price I never wanted to pay. Yeah. And so now I'm out there starting over. And I started doing comedy, and basically what we used to call it was combat comedy in a place called Dorsey's Locker in Oakland. Okay. And it was hosted by Lunell. That's actually who I really started doing comedy with. That's who I learned most of what I knew about comedy from was Lunell. And
I don't know who that is.
She's in Coming to America 2 right now. She's filming that with Eddie Murphy right now.
Oh.
She's a Bay Area comedian. She moved down to LA probably, I think 10 years ago, maybe more. Uh-huh. And she's actually having really good success now. I'm really happy for her. It's nice to see that, because she works hard. She's a seriously funny woman. Yeah. And so to see her having her success now, it's it feels good. I'm happy when somebody I know is succeeding. Yeah. I don't feel like they owe me anything. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to see you getting what you deserve. Yeah. You worked hard for this. And she's very hilarious. I did a lot of shows with Linnell, and I don't hit her up for anything. Right. I haven't seen her in probably
14 years?
Yeah, 15 years. So it's she probably won't remember me, but at the same time, maybe when I see her face to face, she will. Yeah. But it's actually pretty cool. But in Dorsey's Locker, it was rough, man. It was a rough crowd, man. There were comedians in the Bay that were afraid to go to Dorsey's Locker. Ooh. Because, one, the place had been shot up once.
That'll do it, right?
The first night I went in, right, they had this bar, and above the bar, they had this mirrors thing, right? and the very first mirror by the door had a bullet hole in it. It's like, where am I, right? But whatever, let's get up here, let's do this. And you know, most of my sets there were good. You know, I had some rough ones, but everybody has rough ones. But it was just a drunk crowd, and if they didn't like you, they let you know. Straight up, like they start talking and yelling at you. Like I've seen dudes get booed off the stage there. Like it was a rough crowd, man. But learning how to do comedy that way, I think made it so there's not a crowd I can't handle.
Yeah, you get your chops in.
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. Let's see, what was I gonna ask you? So you were talking about how you compared yourself to like the people that started. Does that bug you a little bit? Or does it motivate you, like you want to work harder to catch up?
It bugs me in the fact that I chose to be where I am.
Okay.
You know, it bugs me in the fact that, I want to be making a living at this. I want to do more. But at the same time, their circumstances were different than mine.
Yeah.
They didn't have a little girl to raise. Well, some of them did, and they had another half that was able to help them with that, like you know, the father or the other mother. Like, I didn't have that. It was just me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's motivational and it bugs me too, but it bugs me at me, not anybody else. Like, I'm always happy to see somebody I know succeeding, but it motivates me more to know, because if I work hard enough, I can be where they are. And that's the thing. That's what I'm out here trying to do, is just put in the work and get to where I need to be in this business.
All right, well, so moving forward on, like, you're in it, right? You're gonna be in it no matter what.
Exactly. I'm here to stay. Like, there's nothing that's gonna take me out of comedy.
Nice.
Nothing. Like I want to be up there. Like, I want to eventually take Kevin Hart's spot.
Oh, okay.
That's how high I want to get in this game.
Yeah, nice.
Like, I want to
be. Inspiration.
That's the level I want, because at that level, it's like you're not doing clubs anymore. I mean, you will to work your set out, but when he does a show, he's doing arenas and like 50,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest crowd I've ever done was 500 people, and it was at a casino in Ukiah. This was like 2002, and like the laugh, like the biggest difference is the laugh. Like, you feel it.
Yeah.
Like when you hit them with a hard laugh in a crowd that size, you feel it. And to make a crowd of 50,000 laugh, like, you gotta feel that in your chest. Like, I want that feeling.
Yeah. I've never experienced it. I haven't been to enough comedy clubs to like hear, like, you know, when they say that it feels like there's jet engines in the room, it's just like the walls are shaking. I want to experience that first, but
and I want that feeling. Like, I haven't had it yet. Like, the biggest crowd, like I said, is 500 people, and that was an amazing feeling. But to get to that level, and recently, I started listening to more Dave Chappelle. And I've always been a fan. I just never really listened to him heavily. And then when I did. You ever watch Vlad TV?
No.
Okay. Well, he does a lot of interviews on YouTube. And he's interviewing a lot of comedians, and a lot of them were saying, like, the best in the game is Dave Chappelle. And then I listened to an interview with Chris Rock, and they asked him, who strikes fear in your heart? And he said, if I had to pick, he said it would be Dave Chappelle. Like, Dave Chappelle strikes fear in my heart. He said, I'll still have to take him out. It'll be a rough takedown, but I still have to take him out. And Chris Rock is one of the comedy guys that I looked up to. And I'm like, okay, if he feels that way about Dave Chappelle, then I gotta see why he's the best.
Yeah.
And so I've been listening to him and studying what he does, and I'm like, okay, now I see why you're considered the best, not only among the people that watch comedy, but among the people that do.
Right.
And if they consider you the best, then I gotta know why.
Right. It's good to dissect them. Did you know that Richard Pryor actually endorsed Dave Chappelle? When Dave Chappelle was 19, Richard was like, this guy's the one that's going to take over.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Endorsed by Richard Pryor. And I found out about that during Dave Chappelle's like hiatus after the Dave Chappelle show, and I just didn't know where he was at.
Yeah. Nobody did.
Nobody did, right? And I was like, well, Dave Chappelle fell off. You know, I haven't seen him. I guess he's done. But now that he's come back, I get it. I was like, wow, that's incredible stuff.
Yeah, you watch him and you see, okay, that's why you're the best, right there. Like, when I watched
this latest one, like, didn't that like Anthony Bourdain guy just recently kill himself, or who was he talking about?
It was less than 2 years ago.
It wasn't less.
It was less than 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's recent enough for people to go.
Yeah, this sounded like it was like recent. Like, wait a minute.
And but it was.
No, wait.
It was the perspective.
Was it Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah, that was Anthony Bourdain he was talking about.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, he said Anthony Bourdain killed himself, and then he went on about this other dude that had this seriously bad life. It was like it never occurred to him to kill himself.
Right.
And it's like you can say, it's like George Carlin said, you can say whatever you want to say as long as you say it in the right way.
Context, yeah.
Yeah, and like George Carlin is one of the comedy greats, and to hear him say that.
I wish he could come back from the grave and like just come out with a new special for what's going on nowadays.
Oh man, it would be so great.
Right?
Like he would tear Trump to pieces, man.
Dude, I don't even know if there would be a Trump if he was still around.
Yeah, George Carlin was great, man. I miss him. He's one of the guys I really like too.
Yeah.
And like I listen to comedy. Like my day starts, I just turn on comedy.
Nice.
I just listen to everybody. Like Ron White is one of my favorites. Like, and, I hear people say bad things about him, and I'm like, as long as he's funny, I don't care. I'm gonna listen to him. You know. I don't know anybody personally that's had any bad experiences with him. I know a few people that have opened for him, and they never say anything bad about him. So I'm like, maybe somebody just had a bad experience. I don't know.
Yeah. What's that thing he says he describes himself as like a high functioning alcoholic?
Oh yeah. Man, and I learned my lesson about getting drunk on stage, man. In 2001, I got booked for this show in Stockton, man, and it was a fashion show. It was a fashion show / comedy show, and they should have had the comedy show first, but they didn't. They had the fashion show first, and it was a 3-hour fashion show, and they gave us an open bar.
Okay. Oh, of course.
So I'm like 6 Long Islands deep, bro. I was done. They called me to the stage, man, and all I remember is there was a girl in the front row, and she said, you ain't funny. And I was like, that ain't your hair. And she was a black woman. I'm like, so this is gonna go bad. So we went back and forth for like a minute, and she threw a drink at me, and I was like, you know what? I got paid already. I'm done with these people. I dropped the mic and walked off stage, and I haven't heard the end of that one yet from the people that were there. I'm like, come on, man. It was 18 years ago. When you gonna let that go?
Right. But it's the stories, man. It's the stories. So moving down into, you were talking that you learned how to write from this one seminar that you do. Has that changed since then? Like, do you write differently now? Where do you pull inspiration from?
Yeah, I write really differently now. Before, I used to write things that, I think this is funny.
Like one-liners? Or just a thought?
I've always tried to write stories.
Okay.
But not knowing exactly how to write a story back then, my stories weren't as good as what they are now. But my writing's definitely changed. Like, now I bring my real life experiences that actually have happened to me. And so I found out that when you tell personal stories, the audience doesn't just laugh at it. They laugh at it and they feel it because they have experienced something similar.
Yeah.
Like, we're not alone on this planet. Like, you have very similar experiences to me, I'm sure. And I have the same for you, right? And so when I read this quote in the Kid Rock album, of all places, right? It says, if it sounds good, they'll listen to it. If it's marketed right, they'll buy it.
Right.
But if it's real, they'll feel it. And so I kind of put that into what I do. It's like, if it's real, then they're not only going to laugh at it, but they're going to laugh at it and they're going to feel it. And so now, none of the jokes I write are just like, I think this is funny. It's like, this happened to me. How do I make it funny?
Right.
Like, I got a joke about a girl I dated with a glass eyeball.
Did you do that one at the show?
No, I told it to my daughter after the show. She wanted to hear it, but it really happened. I really dated a girl with a glass eyeball, and so it's just
the possibilities, man.
Yeah, she had on sunglasses when I met her. I didn't know. So, this is like,
right. wear sunglasses?
Yeah, it's like I met her, she was wearing shades, and then at the restaurant, it was like, oh, okay. Well,
she's looking at her food, but she's also looking at me.
Yeah, man. We're like, we're here now. Let's see where this goes, right?
Yeah.
But, and there's just like the great Dawawa joke. Like they really tried that. It wasn't made up. Like these dudes really thought they could. It wasn't successful, and they never tried. The dogs never got together. But,
Right.
But the end of the story is the part I made up. But to end the story and make it funnier. But they really tried to make those two dogs.
Really? The things you'll come up with, man.
It's like, you know, when you're high, it's a good idea. When you're sober, you're like, man, that was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I just try to write the things that I've been through. And at 43, I've been through a lot, man.
Right.
You know, and like when I was, like I had a rough past, man. Like I said, I grew up in a rough town, man. And like at 14, I started selling drugs with my older brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we lived in a town where crack was rampant. And so at 14, I was tired of getting made fun of for not having good shoes. Like I had the Pro Wing shoes and the bell bottom pants. And like I was always getting made fun of at school.
Yeah.
And so my brother started doing it, and he's 3 years older than me, and he started having money. And I was like, I want to do that too. I'm tired of this. I want Nikes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spent a large part of my life just doing that. I had maybe a 10-year run in the drug business and then got out of it. And it's like my daughter is what made me get out of it. I was looking at her one day when she was 6, and I'm like, what is she gonna tell him on career day?
Yeah.
My dad leaves the house all hours of the day, and there's money everywhere, and he's got these weird friends that look like they're on drugs. And it's like, okay, I gotta be something better.
Right.
And then so I quit and just was working, and then just took care of her and gave her a good life. And then when she turned 18, she moved out. It's like, okay, it's my turn now.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna go chase my dream in my career.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing. And I'm the brokest I've ever been in my life, but I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've been listening to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk lately, and he talks about how, like, he knows people who make 6 figures a year, and like, they're miserable, and then you got somebody who's making $23,000 a year and just happy because they get to do the way they do it. They get to live their life.
Yeah.
And man.
Like, well, going back to the writing thing,
yeah.
Like, I did 3 shows in the Bay last month.
Okay.
And, like, I had a few jokes that kind of landed flat. I did 2 8-minutes and a 10-minute set up there. And, like, a few jokes that landed flat, and because I record every set, and so I can listen to it and see what I can improve. And I was listening to these jokes that fell flat, and I was like, why did they fall flat? And I was like, the story wasn't personal enough.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm reworking those jokes and
see what happens.
So hopefully I can make them so that they really hit hard as the rest of my stories. I try to stay away from one-liners because I just don't like them.
Yeah.
They're funny for the people that have done them. Like, I love Rodney Dangerfield. Like, to me, he's the king of them. A lot of people say Henny Youngman, but it's one-liners. To me, they're simple, and so I don't want to do simple.
Yeah.
I want to be known for this guy is really complex and he's hilarious, and so I want those in-depth stories.
Right.
I see comedians with like 10-minute bits on the same subject, and I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to do 10 minutes on a subject, and it's just the practice of writing. Like, I know a guy who did a week with George Lopez in Vegas.
What was that like?
And he said backstage before the show, George Lopez had a stack of notebooks like that. Right? There were notebooks like that, but he asked me, he said, what's all that? He's like, well, I'm deciding which hour I want to do.
What the fuck?
Son of a bitch! Like, whoa, like, do you know the endless writing it takes to get a stack like that? It's like, oh my God, that's what you're competing with.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so...
The only way I ever saw that was during a Jerry Seinfeld special where he's sitting in the middle of the street and then he's got like this whole street full of like legal pad yellow paper, like lined up on the whole street, right?
Wow.
And he says, these are just the jokes that worked. from his whole career. It's like they zoom out into this whole street, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not writing enough.
Yeah, it's like I try to make myself write one new joke a day, and at that one new joke a day, it's not enough. You'll never get to that level. Like
right.
you gotta spend at least an hour or two writing.
Yeah.
Every day, and it's like I don't have that kind of time yet. But when I start to be full-time comedy.
Mm-hmm. You hope that it comes up, right?
I'm hoping that I have that kind of time where, because you fly out somewhere, you're sitting in a hotel room all day. Well, you got nothing but time to write then.
Yeah.
So you kind of be stupid to not do any writing when you're in a hotel room all day. Mm-hmm. And so it'll come. Mm-hmm. At least that's my hope.
From the podcast that I listen to with multiple comics, they say that it's the discipline of doing it, because for us as artists, we're artists. We're very aloof.
Yeah.
And maintaining the discipline is where we fall short. But Joe Rogan, he's all about discipline, and so he has his method of doing things. Like he has to work out because that.
He's a former MMA guy, right? So that discipline is ingrained in him, right? Yeah. All the training he went through. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, it is a discipline thing.
A lot of work.
It is, and to get to that level, it's going to take some work. And like I try to force myself to do it, and so eventually I'll be there. I know I'll get there.
Do you write on paper? Do you type it out? Do you do it sober?
I kind of live my life high, so it's hard to write when I'm not high, because I'm always high. Like I smoke a little bit. It came down. I smoked at like 8 o'clock this morning. Okay. And by the time I got here, I'm pretty good now. But it's the way I've lived my life. And so like a lot of comedians ask me like, how do you perform high? It's like, dude, I'm high around the clock.
Yeah, so
like,
it's normal.
There's when I'm not high, I smoke some more and then I'm good. Like, but what I do make sure I don't do anymore is I don't get on stage when I'm at the top of my high.
Right.
Like, because then you're just like slow, you don't have the energy, and the audience is, if they don't get the energy, they will not give it back. You have to give them that, or you're just going to be up there flatlining all your jokes because they don't have enough energy behind it. So that happened to me a few times, and I kind of realized, okay, I gotta wait. I gotta either wait till I get off stage and smoke, or smoke at least an hour before. Like this is true drug addict shit, right? It's like when you figure it out where you can get high and when.
Well,
right?
you can write it into your schedule. Tomorrow, it's either 8:30 p.m.
You set timers and shit. Yep, time to go smoke. But it's like, how do you perform high? It's like I live my life that way, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's the best practice.
You gotta find what works for you, and if it works for you the way you do it, then that's great.
Yeah, I remember one guy that I knew that I started comedy with, Siddiqui Fuller. He passed away a little over a year ago. Great dude, but he told me one time I was having a Long Island before I got on stage. He said, you should try not drinking. I said, why? He said, well, it'll become a crutch.
Right.
It'll become to the point where you feel like you can't do this without it.
Right.
I was like, nah, you're crazy. And then after that 6 Long Island show, I was like,
I get it.
Siddiqui's got a fucking point, right? Right. So now, like, if I do have a drink before I get on stage, it won't be anything super strong, and I never get on stage drunk anymore, ever. And it's just been, to me, that's been the best practice, because when you're drunk, you're gonna do some dumb shit for sure. There's no way around it. You're gonna, like people, like you look at Ron White, who's always got the scotch. Well, he's constantly drinking, so it's no different for him. It's like me constantly smoking, being on stage high. It's no different for me. That's the way I live my life. I'm still me, so he's still him. Just he drinks. That's his vice. And so everybody has their vice.
I would tell you to go up there sober, like completely, like a whole day.
Yeah, I've done that too, and it's the same result as when I'm high.
Oh,
so
great.
that's why I make no difference.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same result. I get the same energy. I just make sure I'm not super high at the top of my high. Yeah. Sit there. You can't see the crowd, and it's like, how do you expect them to give you back anything?
Yeah.
You're not giving them anything to give you back. So I don't get that lethargic high to get on stage with. And it's like, that's been the best practice for me.
Nice. So what do you have coming up like in the upcoming month?
So this month I have nothing. I'm sending EPKs out all month, trying to get stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But right now the only thing I have on the books is October 3rd.
Okay.
And so I'm sending out my EPKs, trying to get stuff. Kirk has a room in Antioch. He told me I can go do with him, but he only does it once a month, and that show was last Tuesday, I think it was.
Okay.
And so I don't think he's got any more coming this month. So they do an open mic at the Pink Taco now on Monday.
Oh, I've heard of that place. Yeah.
And so
I hear it's good too.
it was. I did it the last time they had it. It was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it was actually pretty fun.
I think I actually heard it from you at Elevation Bar talking about it.
I was talking about it, yeah. And it was, I didn't like the intermissions that they took.
Okay.
Because, excuse me, in a restaurant setting, you have an intermission, people are done eating.
Mm-hmm.
That gives them the opportunity to leave.
Right.
But if you keep the show rolling, they're going to feel guilty about leaving, and they'll stay for the whole show.
Yeah.
So what happened to me was they took the intermission,
And then you went up.
and the fun table left.
Ah.
And the fun table had like 8 people at it. So now I'm here with a crowd of 4 people here,
Mm-hmm.
3 people in the back. And you know, it was still fun. They were listening, but it was like, man, it could have been so much better if we didn't take that intermission.
Yeah.
But it was their first show. They were figuring it out. They had never done comedy there before.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy hosting, he had never hosted before. Actually, a funny dude, Jalen White. You should try to get him on one of your bringer shows. He's a hilarious dude.
Shout out to Jalen White.
Yeah.
Contact me at Ultimate Bringer Show.
Yeah, I'll give you the info, Jalen. But yeah, he had never hosted before, so he didn't know really to tell him to not do the intermissions. And also, it was a 3-hour show.
Right.
It's really hard to hold the same audience for 3 hours when you have
3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, when you have no celebrities. Right?
Yeah.
Like if they know they're waiting on Dave Chappelle, they're gonna sit there 3 hours. If they know they're waiting on Bill Burr or somebody like that,
Mhm.
then they'll hang out for that 3 hours. But it's 3 hours of open mic, and not every comedian is good at an open mic, and so it's really hard to keep an audience for 3 hours. Like I recommended to them that make the show be an hour and a half, maybe.
Okay.
Do an hour and a half, no intermissions, and you will be able to keep the entire crowd that whole time. Because an hour and a half, it takes people an hour to eat,
Right.
right? And they're watching the show, they'll stay an extra half hour.
Or do 2 1 hour and a half, and then with the intermission, but you don't stop for a whole hour and a half.
Yeah, and the intermissions were like 10 minutes,
Right.
but 10 minutes is enough time for them
Yeah.
to go check.
Yeah, it takes the energy out of the room. I wonder why they decided to do that. If that was like a deal they had with the restaurant.
It might be because I think what the restaurant was thinking was to not tie those tables up the whole 3 hours.
Mhm.
Because once people have had their meal,
Yeah, you want more people to eat.
they're not going to buy any more food. They might buy another drink or 2, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Right? So I from a business standpoint, I get it, but from a show standpoint, it's like it's not helping.
Yeah, you have to find the balance.
Yeah, and a lot of people are telling me go do the 4th wall. I just haven't had a chance to make it out there yet.
Dude, they have like 3 locations now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's the 4th wall in North Hollywood, and there's there's the Hollywood 4th wall, and then there's like the 4th wall Cafe, which is a really nice place.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Like you should check out their Instagram pictures. They had a show there and they packed it out, and it looked beautiful.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I feel happy for Joe. I tell him like, the next step is the club, right? He's
Yeah.
Like, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. You got 3 locations. Yeah. It's definitely a tricky business, man. To build a business out of this it's kind of hard.
Yeah. You gotta have the sense for it. Are you working on your 8-minute set already for the defend?
Oh yeah. I'm about 3 minutes into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm working on it, and so like basically the next day when I went home, it's like, okay, I gotta come back and defend, so I need to start working on my new 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I knew you had to do a new 8 minutes if you win,
Mhm.
and so I was like, started working on it right away, and about 3 minutes into it, and I got some really interesting stuff coming, so it should be a fun show.
Nice,
Yeah.
dude, nice. Well, I wish you luck, man. Let's see, we still got a few more minutes to talk in here.
No worries. Yeah, I got time.
So, Well, I kind of want to talk to you about like your life as a dad.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a single dad of twin girls.
Oh.
And as you can see, that they're 6 years old now.
Oh, congratulations.
They're gonna be 6 soon. Yeah, and a lot of what you were talking about has I was thinking about because like I had the opportunity to my kids before for comedy, and the reason this whole show started was because I wasn't able to go out as much as everybody else.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah, and like constantly comparing myself to professionals where they talk like, if you want to be good in this industry, you got to go out every night. You got to be performing every night.
Yeah, and it's easy to say when you have the ability to do it.
Right.
Right? And it's easy to be like, yeah, you got to be out there. This has got to be your life, right? And when you have the ability to do it, then that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't, it's like you got to find the balance somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 2 girls, right? So and you're a single dad, and so you have to be there for them. There's things you can't miss in their life, like being on a show every now and then, going out of town once or twice a month.
Yeah,
it's very hard to do, but you can do it and not miss much of what they need you for.
Yeah,
but if you have a support system,
yeah,
if you got somebody that'll babysit for you, or you got family members that you can leave them with, like
I got no rent here. Well, I mean, I do have rent, but it's this is my parents' house.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like I don't own this, dude.
yeah. I was like, damn, I'm like, he's doing pretty good on
It's
this
nice
Bringer
place.
show, man.
This free Bringer show is definitely.
We need to talk about this prize money. But yeah, it's like I quit because I knew I couldn't be a comic on the road and still raise my daughter because I didn't have the support system. Like my father passed away and my mother remarried and moved to Missouri, and my brother already has 6 kids.
Yeah.
So it's like
different circumstances.
Yeah, I could send her over there to him, but it's a burden on him, right? He's already got 6.
Yeah.
And so it was like I made the choice to raise my daughter and just quit comedy completely, and it was like, as a dad standpoint, it was the best decision I ever made in my life because I got so much more time with my daughter. There's all the things in her life that I didn't miss, but at the same time, like I'm on the other end of that spectrum, dying inside because I got this comedian in me that needs to be on stage, and I'm not putting them out there.
Yeah.
And so it's a rough thing, but then being the dad of twin girls, it's like doubly hard for you, right? Because then you got 2.
Yeah.
But you're in the right area to not have to leave and make it. Like you could do a mic every night here in Los Angeles.
That's true.
There's mics around the clock here, and this is a town that, like, I don't like the way they do things because when they book you for something, very rarely do they want to pay you, and then if they do pay you, it's like $50 or whatever. Like you go out of town and you get paid $150, $200,
I heard.
right?
Yeah.
But you have the ability to have your life changed overnight here.
Yeah.
Very few other towns, other than like New York City, are going to offer you that. And so you can stay locally here and still get some success. And that's another reason why I came down here. It was like, okay, I'm doing acting, and I'm getting back into comedy. This is the town that can change your life overnight. And so if you stay locally, you still got a chance of changing your life.
Yeah.
Like, nobody who's going to change your life is going to see you in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Right? You'll get a crowd there. You'll get paid whatever they pay you, and it'll be fun. But nobody there is going to come up and say, you know what, I got this TV show that you'd be perfect for.
Right.
Right? That doesn't happen anywhere but Hollywood or New York.
Do you want a TV show?
I would love a TV show, man.
Just for the bills, right? But not because that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Like, I love acting. Don't get me wrong. I will take an acting job any day of the week.
Of course.
But comedy is my true love. The stage is, you get no other feeling like that in the world. Of course, you know. But like, the payday on a TV show is crazy. Like, I know a guy named Sam Bashoot who just got a TV show with Kel Penn. Harold and Kumar?
Okay.
Kumar.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called Sunnyside, I think it is.
Sure.
They're in their 2nd season.
Nice.
Like, and he's an excellent stand-up. I was there with him the night he recorded his hour that he's trying to shop to Netflix, which now that he's on a television show, Netflix might pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how he got it. I imagine he got an audition from his agent, because I know he has an agent, but it's like one of those things, like, okay, you can change your life.
Mm-hmm.
You work 3 months a year on this show, the rest of the year you're on the road.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, living here in LA, I was thinking about, like, doing some acting, but, you know, that's just another thing. You know,
Yeah.
for me, it's another item
But
to work on.
there are so many comedians in commercials. Like, it's crazy. Like, I was in Flappers 4 months ago doing their Midnight Mic.
Okay.
And on the TV was a insurance commercial, and the dude sitting in the middle of the back seat was on stage.
Oh. That's funny.
Yeah. And so, like, and I'm sure that commercial paid him probably $2-3 grand at least.
Right.
And so, you know, to keep yourself out of that market would
Yeah.
be foolish.
Right.
Because there's money to be made there. And with commercials, it doesn't take skill. You just have to be you.
Yeah.
And if they like your look and you go in there and you're natural and you're just not overacting,
Mm-hmm.
you land the job and you get a nice payday out of it.
That's a good point.
So yeah, I would encourage you to at least look into
Look into it.
Yeah.
It's on the marquee for right now. Like, my immediate goal is to get this show off and, like, let it be self-sustaining, because I have, like, big plans for this show. Like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna just be one. I'm thinking, like, multiple times a week, like a month.
Okay.
Yeah, like in different tiers. You got your amateurs, you got your pros, you got
Yeah.
Like this coming up month, like in October, I have somebody who actually has a sort of, I don't know, I haven't looked it up yet, but he's on Amazon Prime. Like, he's doing stand up on Amazon Prime, and he signed up. And I was like, I got a guy with credits doing my show. Yeah, Cappuccino Brown. Look him up, dude.
Oh, okay, Cappuccino Brown. That's an easy name to remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I was freaking out yesterday. I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? Is $100 enough?
Well, he knew the prize fund when he signed up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all on the website. You see it right there.
You know, I was the way I did this show. It's actually changed a lot from like where it started. Originally, I wanted it to be a paid show, like $5 per or $10 per ticket or whatever. But I also had the idea of, like, for every person you brought, like every ticket you sold, a percentage of that was going to go into the bucket, so that at the end it was going to be, instead of just $100, it's going to be 100 plus the $80 that you got from the 40 people that were there. You know,
Okay,
or something.
yeah.
So it was more of an incentive, but I don't know. Nobody wants to perform at a bringer show. You know, the bringer word is such a
The bringer show is such. It has that
negative.
that stigma to it.
Yeah.
and it's
I'm
like-
claiming it, man. I'm claiming it. I mean, this is the ultimate bringer show. And of
And-
all the shows you want to go to, you're gonna want to bring them to this show.
And when you booked Essence,
Uh-huh.
she sent me a message, and it was with my name. She said, "Is this you?" And I'm thinking, how many Chris Sugis do you know? And it's like, I was like, yeah, that's me. And she was like, oh, and I knew, because she was very new to comedy. Like,
Uh-huh.
we graduated from the
Oh, cool.
same theater school. She graduated 3 months ago,
Okay.
and did the Comedy Store. And what they don't understand is how easy the Comedy Store is.
Mhm.
Like, you do a crowd at the Comedy Store.
They're already warmed up from every. Yeah.
You can kill them with knock-knock jokes at the Comedy Store, because the Comedy Store has that name.
Yeah.
Like, people think, okay, you're at the Comedy Store, you must be funny.
Right.
And so they already have that feeling. So whatever you give them, if it's even kind of funny,
Mhm.
they're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
And so they don't realize how easy that is. But yeah, Essence was, like, she was worried that I was on that show, and I was like, well, look, it's a bringer show.
Yeah.
These things are typically won by whoever brings the most people.
Mhm.
It's the audience is voting. So, like, I had 5 people there, and if somebody came with 20 people, well, that's the winner right there.
Mhm.
You know, so it has that stigma to it that it's a bringer show and nobody wants to do it. But at the same time, you know, how many other shows am I doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, let's see if I can get some people to come out, and let's see if I can try to win.
Mhm.
And so I'm gonna give the best show I can ever give whenever I grab a mic. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah, man. That's the rule, right? You gotta say yes to everything so that you can do it. But yeah, the thing about my bringer show though is that like I don't know if Ben mentioned it, but audience members, everybody can get multiple votes. So even if this person brought 20 people, you know, like you can win them over and get those 20 votes.
Yeah, you can still get them to vote for you. Yeah.
So it's a little twist as opposed to the usual.
Yeah, and what made you exactly start the Ultimate Bringer shows? Like, did you want something that was just like yours that you could build, or was it, what made you start it?
Originally it was this whole idea of like quantity, like you know, like every professional comic says, like you have to go out every night, right?
Yeah.
And I did that for like a week at open mics, different open mics, and then you know you're spending 3 hours in a place sitting down, and maybe you get 3 minutes.
Maybe.
And I was like, this is a very inefficient way to do things.
Yeah.
And like as a single dad, you know, I work a 4 a.m. shift at work to get off at 12 so I can pick up my kids from school. And so like I was like, I have to figure out a different way to do this. And I was like, what about quality over quantity? What if the best feedback you're gonna get is from an actual audience?
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about how Flappers has their own their thing and how they're not really doing so well. Their Claremont location closed down, and I was like, what if I came up with a better way to make their show doing? Because all of their shows are bringer shows, right? You get 3 minutes for free, but if you like bring people, you get 5 minutes. And,
yeah.
You know.
And I've been booked at their bringer shows at Flappers, and you know they give me 5 minutes, and you get a minute for every extra person you bring. And it's like, well, I can't get people to come to Burbank and spend money on the tickets, money on drinks, because every club has a 2-item menu.
Yeah.
And it's a different experience down here. It's kind of rough, but it is what it is.
Right.
They're using the fact that you're in the town that could change your life.
Yeah. Their business thing is trying to. Their business is like, you know, feeding off of the hopes and dreams of upcoming people. Which I mean, stage time is stage time. But I was like, it was still inefficient, and I was thinking of selling this idea to them.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait a minute, fuck that. You know, like this is a great idea. Why am I going to give it to a club who's probably not ever going to give me time? You know? And so I was hoping that they would hire me, and then like I would host a show there, and then like, you know, every night I would have this thing that would work out. But then slowly but surely I was like, no, I can make this, it could be even bigger than just at a comedy club. I can make this, you know, if I have one in LA, I can have one in Long Beach, I can have one in San Diego, I can have one in like all these places. All I need is just the right people, and then fucking make it stay, you know, the whole US. I want this thing to be, I want to find the next Dave Chappelle. I want this thing to be the actual battlegrounds for people to test out their skill.
Yeah.
And the reason I did it this way was because I wish there was something like that for me. Like I wish there was like a place that I can compete to find out where I stand in the comedy world. And slowly from building that, like I don't know, I have this, my brain is a lot with like figuring out connections and shit like that, patterns. And so I thought like, well, you have this bringer aspect, which is a great idea, but why doesn't it work? And then, you know, just started dissecting it from there. And so I figured out that the way I do it would probably work. It's just the thing I never counted on was that the word bringer was actually a turn-off. It's a turn-off.
Yeah.
But I like the word because then I have BS in the title, which is ultimate bullshit, but it's also a bringer show, and that was predestined.
yeah, I know that wasn't an accident, right? Because is that has to be on purpose.
Yeah.
I was looking at it, I was like, the ultimate BS, that has to be on purpose.
Yeah, it was on purpose.
Yeah.
Bringer show.
And it was good, man. I liked the setting at Elevation Bar. It was a nice setting, the way they had it set up. Like the couches are a little close, but whatever. Like, you know, at the Comedy Store, then they brought me back a second time after I did it the first time.
Okay.
And then the second time, Gary Busey was in the crowd, and he was right there. Right? Like the stage is here. He's right there, right? And I'm doing my set, and I'm fighting the urge to just like address him because I'm like, this dude, I grew up watching your movies, right? And so I did my set, and then I go back. I'm hanging out by the restroom, just watching the other comedians, and Gary Busey comes back to the restroom, and he walks up to me, and he shakes my hand. He's like, "Great job," and I was like, "Dude, I grew up watching your movies. Like, this is my opportunity." I was like, "I grew up watching your movies, man. It was an honor to entertain you." And he leans in and goes, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, you're deaf, right?" I just said, "Thank you." and then a few comedians later, I found out why he was there. Because his wife does stand up.
Oh, okay.
And she was on the show that night, and she did this whole set about how he ruined her life and everything. But it was cool. It's like, that is the biggest celebrity I've met so far. It was Gary Busey.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and he was right there. And so the setup at the Elevation Bar was like no big deal because like I've had crowds that close before, and it's an intimate setting.
Most of the people were sitting in the back though.
Yeah,
I wanted them more in the front so that they would be captured by the video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure that out.
And then a lot of people, they're afraid to sit in the front because they don't want to get picked on their shows.
Yeah, that's always.
But unless you do something like Homeboy at the Bar, I'm gonna leave you alone. Unless you do something like. But I've never made fun of my crowd. And I saw L.A. comedians come up and do Bay Area shows, and they just bagged on the front row, and it's like, dude, like they're here, they're paying to see you, and you're gonna sit there and make fun of them. So in the Bay Area comedians started noticing, okay, that's an LA thing because we don't do that, but these LA comics come up here and
they do it in New York though. It's crowd work. It's also another skill in stand up.
Yeah, crowd work is definitely a skill to have. You got to be able to riff. You got to be able to work the crowd. But making fun of them is something that like even DL quit doing it.
DL,
like that was his thing for a long time, making fun of the front row, right? The people in the crowd, and then I think he realized that ticket sales went down, I guess, because he stopped doing it.
Right.
Like now I watch him and he doesn't do it at all, and so it's like, okay, you realized, but like I've never done that. It's just not a good feeling for me.
Speaking of crowd work and stuff, like what are you moving forward? What do you want to work on? Like what do you need to improve on? Aside from like getting more stage time and like getting better at your writing, what's like this immediate thing? Like I want to be good at this thing.
The immediate thing I need to improve on, being more still.
Okay.
I bounce around a lot on stage, and when I watch myself on video, I don't like it.
Okay.
But I've determined that I do it in normal life. Like when I'm standing there talking to my girl, like I'll be rocking back and forth or moving or doing something, and it's like, okay, I have to quit it here in order to stop doing it on stage.
I was gonna say, it's like all those years of selling drugs, you gotta be on your feet. It's in you, man.
You never know when you gotta take off running.
Gunshot, gun.
Yeah, and it's just like that. To me, I think that would be the biggest thing I have to work on, other than writing and getting more bookings, is actually being still.
Right.
And I remember an interview with Chris Rock and also Eddie Murphy when they was like, why do you, like Chris Rock stalks the stage, and they said, why do you do that? It's like to make people pay attention to you, to watch you. But now he's the great Chris Rock, and he doesn't have to make people do it, but it's now a habit, so that's what he does. He stalks the stage. And I guess, and what I learned in theater is whenever you move, have a reason. Like, but most of my movement on stage is there's not a reason. I'm just bouncing. Like when I tell a joke, I'll be bouncing, and I'm like, dude, stop.
Right. Well, I can't wait to see you on October 3rd.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I think it's gonna be great. Right. We might have a lot of fun. I hope you got Cappuccino Brown. Yeah. And
and some other returning comics too, who are also really good.
Oh, okay.
So it's gonna be headlined by Mikey McKernan. If you haven't heard of him, you're gonna really know him now.
Okay.
So I'm lucky I have him as a headliner too. Well, anyways, Chris, thanks for making the drive out.
No problem, man. Thank you
for being on my podcast. Let people know where they can find you and follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram at Chris Sugi. That's where I post all my shows. That's where I do everything. I used to post on Facebook. Well, I copy my post on Facebook, but I've been told Facebook is now for old people.
Yeah.
And everything is on Instagram or Twitter. So my Twitter is, I'm not sure because I don't use it that much.
It's probably Chris Sugi.
But yeah, it's something Chris Sugi on Twitter. But definitely Instagram at Chris Sugi. I'll be at the Elevation Bar. That's where the next show is, October 3rd. Other than that, I don't have anything else coming up right now.
All right, awesome. Well, hey, you guys come out and check him out and support Chris Sugi to defend his title. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Well, that was fun. I never did a podcast before.
No, that was your first podcast?
Yeah.
Awesome.